Right, so day 6 of the World Cup is done. The first round of the second game of the group stages. Now, I was going to go in chronological order like I usually do, but just finished watching England-USA game now. I've got some stuff to say. There's a reason that we haven't won the last two tournaments, which we could have done. In 2018, Southgate took too long to make changes against Croatia, and the game was slipping away. We lost. Against Italy, we could have made changes. The game was slipping away. We went to penalties and we lost. And in this game, we just refused to make changes. First half, it clearly wasn't working. USA were pressing high. They were pressing well. They're absolutely dominating. England had nothing for them. But he never made changes. His first change was Henderson and Grealish off in the 68th minute. It took him 70 minutes to change something that was clearly not working after 30. But he kept it on for 40 minutes. It was clear that England had nobody in the midfield that can really pick out a pass, one-time pass, or do anything in the midfield to get past the press of USA. And yet there was nobody else in the attack, either to hold up the ball or to run in behind. There was severe lack of runners on the ball or off the ball. Sterling's not that player. Saka's not that player. Kane needs runners off of him. And Mason Mount in the middle was just absolutely anonymous. Like, the whole front line was just terrible. And that's why his subs, Rashford and Grealish, and probably Foden should have gone on as well. They should have come in the 55th minute, 50th minute. Rashford, he's one of the best players at running behind in the world. When he came on, there was more threats in behind. Yeah, it didn't amount to anything because he was given 10 minutes. Like, what is he going to affect really in 10 minutes? He would have brought a threat in behind. Grealish is a threat on the ball. He presses well. He works hard off the ball. He can dribble players, make fouls, get up the pitch. Foden, players are scared of him. He can turn on any play. He can make a pass. He can have a shot, but wasn't given any chance to do so. I thought we would have learned a lesson after Iran. Against Iran, we were 4-0 up, yeah, but then went back to 4-1. It could have been tricky after that. But then he made changes, and they all had effect on the game. They all came on, and they all did really well. But he didn't see that as something that he should do again, and it wasn't working. And he kept with it, and it just wasn't working. It was so frustrating to watch. You're just waiting there for a sub to happen for 20 minutes to take off, and he says it's Jordan Henderson. And you go, what? If it was Jordan Henderson for Mason Mount and pushed Jude Bellingham further up, fine. But Mason Mount in the midfield was so pointless. It was a cardio session from that game. Did absolutely nothing to affect the game. Absolutely nothing. Frustrating. There's 5 possible changes. I understand not making 5 changes if something is working, but nothing is working. Bring on Trent Alexander-Arnold. I know he might not be good defensively, but he can pick out a long pass. Trippier can't really do that. Trent can turn on a sixpence and make that pass straight away if it's down the line to Rashford, if it's across the pitch to Grealish, if it's someone in behind. So he can do that, but he didn't do that. There was no man to match for him because none of them did anything really that well. Like, you can say Harry Maguire defends, but did he help getting the ball up the pitch? Not really. It's all just very reactive from England. Yeah, he did work the corners because he was forced to do that, but it just wasn't very good at all. USA, on the other hand, if you've got to look at them, very, very good, very organised. They gassed themselves out in the first half against Wales. They got too excited. They just sprint. Got a bit excited. And in the second half, they couldn't do it as intensely, and they fell back into a deep shape and brought on pressure and they conceded the penalty. But in this game, they were conservative but kept the pressure on. So when the ball was in the centre backs, Harry Maguire and Stones did 1,000 passes between them in that game. Back and forth, into Shaw, back to Pickford, across Trippier, back to Stones, Maguire into Rice, Trippier. It was all game. And USA made England do that because the 2 banks of 3 in front of them, they couldn't get past. They just couldn't get past. And credit to USA because they didn't go high press. It was a bit more of a mid block, but it was very good. England didn't high press them at all, but maybe because the ball was never really back there, but never able to pin them back really any stage in the game. Just a frustrating performance from England. Really frustrating, and then that leaves England still top of Group B, USA third. But just very frustrating. Like Southgate needs to learn. He needs to make changes in the game. Like the game's not just going to change itself. It's just not. He thinks it's just going to work out by itself. But it really never does. And he needs to do something to affect these games. Substitutions are massive in games. It's just there's so much talent in the squad. So much talent in the squad, and it's been so wasted, I feel. If you look at the bench, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Phil Foden didn't come on. What? They're two of England's best players. There's so much talent on that bench. Even Ben White coming on. Callum Wilson can affect the game. There's so much talent. Rashford getting 10 minutes. Grealish getting 20 minutes. Sterling, I said it against the Iran game. Sterling didn't play that well. He got a goal assist, but didn't play that well. And he's stuck with him. He hasn't played well all season. Mason Mount hasn't played well all season, but they're getting starts. Foden's not having the best of season, but he's playing quite well. Start him. Rashford's having a very good season. Start him. Start the informed players. Stop going with players that you've trusted over years and are not working for you. Against Wales, things have to change. They'll probably low block England like Iran did, and it might be easier, but USA showed the game plan. Mid block them, stop the passes into midfield and attack, and they can't really do much. Italy did the same thing in the Euros. They're higher up pitch, they couldn't do anything about it. Because it was all to feet or in the air, there was nothing in behind or into space. And we're not good enough to play with just our feet. We're not good enough in the air to do that. That's why you need to have someone like Rashford on the pitch just to have that threat in behind. But anyway, we'll go back to the chronological order now, but to the first game in Group B, Wales versus Iran. The first half was one of them games where it was just neither team really grabbed a hold of it. Neither team, Wales had the better chance really. But nothing really happened in that first half. Second half, again, it wasn't, that Iran got a bit into the game in the second half. But then obviously the red card changed the complete complexion of the game. And just before that, it was Wales getting a bit on top as well. It was Ben Davies with that shot. Just good save by Hosseini. Very good save. And straight after that, ball down the line, Hennessy comes out and takes him out, and obviously red card. But I know Danny Ward wasn't great when he came on, but I don't understand why he's starting Hennessy. Like, he's played, I think, 3 games in the past 2 years in the league, in the Premier League. Yeah, Danny Ward starting the weekend when he's out. It's just a weird thing. But anyway, Iran, very good result for them. 2 goals at the end. It didn't look like it was coming, but then goals in the 98th and 11th, 101st minute. 2 really good goals as well. The first goal by Chesney, very good finish, and then the second goal, great teamwork, great off-ball runs, kicked them on the counter, and it was a great finish by the right back. Right back Raisman, good finish for a right back. But yeah, Wales, they need to beat England now. Big game against England if they want to get anything. If they beat England, well, they kind of have to beat England by a few goals, unless Iran and USA draw, then they can beat England by 2 goals. But yeah, Wales have to go into the England game. They have to go forwards. They can't They can't sit back and wait for England to come at them and go for a counter, really, can they? They have to push forward and get something from the game. Iran, big result for them. They're now second in the group. That game against USA going to be very interesting now. Very interesting. That's a big game. If anyone wins, they go through. Basically, USA have to win. USA have to win that game after the Iran result. So that's going to be another interesting game. Iran, are they going to sit back and soak up pressure? Probably as Carlos Queiroz' side. But USA probably a better in transition team. It'll be interesting coming up against a side that are low block and hitting the counter. Would be interesting. But they played really well against England. We'll see how they do against Iran. I know Iran have less quality than England, but it'll be a very different game when you do have the ball, because USA played very well without the ball. On the ball, there was obviously a lack of quality there against England with the 45% possession, but they couldn't really get the big chances. They had 0.61 XG. England only had 0.5 themselves, which showed how good the off-ball movement was, or off-ball work was. But interesting group now to end. England could have basically solidified their status in the knockout stages of win, but they didn't. So that final games will be very interesting because it could change in minutes. That's how close that group is. And then on to the next game, Qatar-Senegal. Look, I know Qatar are bad, but performance-wise, second half they were actually quite good. Against Ecuador, from open play, they only allowed 0.35 XG, which that's not too bad, actually. That's not actually too bad. From open play, 0.35 XG. It was only really the penalty that was the big chance for Ecuador in that game. And then from open play in this game, it was 0.6 for Senegal. They scored 0.75 overall. They scored. So they've conceded basically 5 goals from 1.5 XG or 1.75 XG. So they've actually, if you think about it, it's not too bad. But with the quality, especially with the quality of players they have, it's not too bad. Maybe it's a bit. Obviously, they have the worst squad here. They have really bad players, but quality of what they're doing with the players is actually kind of impressive. Like, they're not actually giving up big opportunities over and over again. Yes, it was a mistake for the first goal, a very bad mistake. But with the quality of players they have, they're not doing too bad. They beat Senegal, and actually they had 0.96 themselves. In the second half, they did quite well, actually. 0.92 XG in the second half compared to Senegal's 0.42, having 8 shots, 3 on target. But I like what I saw from Felix and Sanchez's side. They're out of the tournament. They are a bad side. But with the quality he has at his disposal, he's actually getting a decent amount out of it for how bad they could look a lot worse. And they are really bad, and it'll be hard to look worse, but with the quality, it can look a lot worse than what they actually have been. But Senegal, good performance, missing Kyoto probably in that midfield a bit. Wasn't as dominant as I thought it could have been from them at all. They didn't really create that much. Like I said, only 0.75 XG could have been a lot better, really, but they got the 3 goals, they got what they needed. And in the group now, Senegal third with 3 points. Ecuador and Netherlands joint first with 4. So Senegal against Ecuador, going to be the big game in that group. Very interesting matchup. You'd probably say Ecuador are the more informed team based on how they played against Qatar. Like I said, neither of them played amazing against Qatar. Both of them played better against the Netherlands. Really, but Senegal, she's just missing Sadio Mane, aren't they? Up front, they're just a bit lacking. Midfield, again, they got good energy and ball winning midfield, but again, once they get up the pitch, they get a bit lost, don't they? You don't want to drift It's less noticeable in this game, but against Ecuador, when Idris Figueroa was on the edge of the box, you're like, oh. you don't really want him there. But I think it'll be a very close game between them and Ecuador. This game probably doesn't prove much because they just know the quality isn't there from Qatar, and they can probably just score, and they did take their foot off the gas maybe in the second half after scoring so early in the second half as well to get their second goal. And they did score basically straight after Qatar got a goal back, so it kind of showed that maybe if they did try their hardest, they could have racked up more goals. But they probably won't go far in this tournament without Sadio Mane, but it'll be a tough side, I think, if they do reach knockouts. And then the final game to talk about, Netherlands versus Ecuador. I said in the first game, Netherlands looked, a bit dodgy, and they were very dodgy. They had 2 shots on goal, combined 0.10 xG. That is terrible. Their first shot on goal was in the 6th minute through Cody Gakpo, which went in. And the second shot was in the 66th minute through Toyin Koopmeiners. Like, it's proper Louis van Gaal, that, isn't it? Proper Louis van Gaal. It's not like it was just a weird performance. So you think, they scored in the 6th minute, it might open the game up and they can get some space in behind. They were never able to find that space. And I just don't think the 3 at the back is working that well. They are poor in midfield, yet they have lack of numbers in there. Usually when you're a bit poor in midfield, you put numbers in there. And the 3 at the back's just not really making them create anything. Daley Blind as a wing back. Are you really sure about that? That's basically just if it was a 3 at the back and Daley Blind was tucking as another centre back, I don't know. It's just a strange system by Van Gaal. It's getting them wins, or not wins, but it got them a win and a draw, and has basically put them through unless they completely mess it up against Qatar. But yeah, it's a weird squad. They have like a load of left wingers, which doesn't really help. Bergwijn, Gakpo, Depay, Noah Lang. They don't really have a striker that you really want, like Weghorst or Luuk de Jong or Janssen usually. Not really, or rather not. They just don't have that second midfielder slot alongside Frenkie de Jong. But maybe that's what you needed. That's why you need to put 2 in there. Put David Klaassen next to, like they had David Klaassen, but more of an attacking midfielder in there. Maybe you drop into a 4-3-3. Put maybe either Koopmeiners or de Jong at the base. Have David Klaassen in there, or like Kenneth Taylor or Berghuis. They're just really struggling to create chances in this formation, like against. So basically, in the 2 games combined in this tournament so far, they've created 0.77 xG. They scored 3 goals for that, which is impressive. But it's just they've had 12 shots on goal in 2 games against Senegal and Ecuador. And yes, they're very good opposition, but for a team that Van Gaal and other people saying it could be a dark horse or could win the tournament, I just don't think it's going to be able to be sustained against the good teams, really. And Ecuador, on the other hand, look at them, very good performance. Very good performance. Their midfield of Moises Caicedo and Mendes, very good. Can work in tight spaces, good energy. And the Valencia, shame he had to go off injured, but looked very frightening. Had to hit the post. Could have easily won the game. 15 shots, 4 on target, 1.68 xG. Very, very good performance. Very good performance. Second half, even more dominant than their first, which was still kind of dominant, but second half was really good by them. I just like Ecuador. I like them in the first game against Qatar. I know they took their foot off the gas, but I like them in this game. And I said they can cause the same problems that Senegal did against the Netherlands with their energy and work rate, and they did that, and they did it best in Senegal, and they probably should have won this game. And their game against Senegal will be very interesting because they're very similar sides. Maybe Ecuador a bit better on the ball, but the end of Valencia thing, that'll be very big if they miss him. He's their only goal scorer in the last 2 World Cups. So he'll be a big miss if they can't get him fit. But yeah, very, very good performance by Ecuador, and I'd like to see them go through. But, you know, anything can happen. A draw will send them through, but Senegal have to win that game, and it'll be interesting to see how they deal with that. But yeah, they were the games today. Some good games, just frustrating to have England just putting performances like that. It's just when you know there's so much talent on the bench as well, and there's so many things you could change that you know what happened. But yeah, frustrating. Just puts it down on the mood, especially after the first game. But yeah, tomorrow's game, Tunisia, Australia. Neither team are going to go through probably, but Tunisia got the draw against Denmark, which is big. But I don't know what I predicted for that game. I think Australia will do it because they kind of showed a bit against France. They got a bit more quality, but Tunisia they did quite well against Denmark. Both teams used to sitting deep, so it might be a bit of a ball fest, or it could really open up. Could be a good game. Poland, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia showed against Argentina that they can work. They work really well together as a team. They probably got a bit lucky in that game. Argentina missed chances, offsides, but they showed they work as a team. They worked well. Poland, they had a bad first game, just sat deep and never really threatened at all. They needed to get Lewandowski a strike partner, so maybe this game could change up, get Milik or Piaticon gets his game behind. Very interesting what they do there. France, Denmark, a big game in that group. France, great opening game. Denmark, struggled a bit. But Denmark had beat France twice in the past year. So it could be a very different game. Denmark probably a bit better when they do sit deep and hit the counter a bit more. With the players like Højbjerg and Delaney on the pitch, get Eriksen on the ball in the transition is quite good. So maybe that will suit them a bit more than having to break down a low defence. So I think that'll be a really good game. And Argentina-Mexico game will be a good game. Mexico will probably leave a bit more space for Argentina than Saudi Arabia did, so they'll probably be better for Argentina. Argentina need to make another couple of changes. They need to bring in Lisandro Martinez defence. I don't know what you're thinking, dropping him or not selecting him. Like, he's been one of the best defenders in Premier League, and you're playing Nicolas Otamendi ahead of him. No. And Papu Gomez need to take him up, get an extra midfielder in there, get Messi higher up the pitch, or get players so we can get players to get him the ball instead of him having to go deep and then get the ball and then nobody's in front of him. It was just bad against Mexico. And Mexico, they had the draw against Poland, so that's a good result for them. They'll probably be looking for another draw here. It's a bit different against Poland. They kind of set the tempo a bit, so it'd be interesting to see what they do here. But they do have threats if they do want to go on the counter. Alexis Vega, Hervin Lozano are threats in the counter, so it'll be interesting to see how they deal with, if they do go into a low block, and how they deal with going on the counter. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the games then, the games tomorrow in the comments. Like and subscribe, and see you tomorrow. So when I'm hopefully over that England result. Bye.